Hello friends and enemies. Welcome back to Happy for Now. It's me, Isabel, here with kind of a discussion video. I just thought I would discuss, I got this idea from my friend Heather over at Booktubes because I told her I was running low on ideas. So she gave me a huge list and this one immediately popped out at me because I feel like it's a really relevant discussion around the author imbalancing I already talked about in Romancelandia Monthly, and like deciding where you spend your dollars. Because at the end of the day, as consumers, we vote with our dollars. Now, I, as a romance reader, cannot fully avoid Amazon and Kindle Unlimited and things because there are a lot of authors that only publish there and they don't publish elsewhere. And if their book is exclusively on Kindle Unlimited, that's the only way to read it or buy it is on Amazon. So that's one caveat I have here. And this is going to focus on authors more than retailer choice and how I make these choices. So I've done two videos. One I did where I talked about all the authors who behaved badly in the year previously. I think I did that in 2021. And then I did a video in, I think 2021 as well. I'll link these both down below for you, where I talked about authors I won't read. And that list has grown. So maybe we need a round two. Or I might do a will I won't I type thing where y'all give me authors. But I can tell y'all then like if I would read an author or not, or why I've stopped. So this is hard. I'm gonna say that I'm willing to give most authors a second chance if I didn't like a book I read by them. So let's say I've only read one book by them and I didn't like, if a second book they come out with appeals to me and I felt like I didn't connect with the book because of tropes or how it was set up, I will usually try another book by them. So I do strongly believe in second chances for authors. I don't think every book is for you. And sometimes you don't connect with something and you read another book by them and you love it. So you never know. You never know. So yeah, I'm always down for second chances. I actually have like a list of authors I want to give second chances running because I like didn't like their first book that I read by them. Like the first book I read by them, not like their first book necessarily. But yeah, so I'm really big on giving authors second chances, but I don't generally go past that point. I'm pretty firmly in the after two tries, if I didn't like a book, I'm done. Which I feel like is not a bad thing. Like there's so many books in the world, we can't read them all, and I would like to never have a TBR, but you know, it's easier to reduce my TBR that way. If I say, all right, we're good. We did this, we read, you know, two from you and they didn't work, we're done. And there are times where I read one book by an author and I think I might never read you again. A good example of this is Charity B. For the most part, I don't think I will ever read again. I read The Skeleton King and that book was horrific and absolutely awful. So I wouldn't read that again, but I did have given Brianna Hale second chances. So that's what I mean. Like it just depends on the book. You know, I think it's important as readers, obviously we vote with our dollars and we get to choose who we do and don't support. For me, this choice comes down to blatant racism. So authors who literally like just are openly like very, very racist immediately go on my no list. Jamie McGuire is a good example of this. She also covers pretty much every single thing about authors I won't read. You know, I think if an author is out here literally showing their whole entire ass on the internet and doesn't understand the problem with it and will not listen or change their mind or grow, they're off the list. I can't do that. I personally just find that an easy option for me to remove them from my TBR because I don't want to support people with my money that don't support my friends at the end of the day and support people I see every day in the world. That's how I feel. You can feel differently, but this is obviously my way of doing this. Yeah, for me, that's a big one. I feel like it's an easy one to, you know, think about and to handle. The other thing here that really came to light last year, or in 2020, I guess, is the COVID deniers and the anti-vax authors. So I'm a big believer in science. I'm a big believer in vaccines. And again, if you are out here openly denying that COVID is real, that vaccines don't work or don't get vaccinated or don't wear a mask, you're gone. You're off my list. Megan March is a perfect example of that. In 2020, she made a whole post about freedom and rights and it felt very Trump Republican to me. And I was like, we're done. We're done. We're done. I'm no longer reading you. I think it's a really big deal to make sure authors getting my money again aren't openly like being shitty people at the end of the day. And I firmly believe that the people who were acting like that, like at the end of the day, they're bad people in real life. Like I'm I wouldn't want to be friends with them, so I wouldn't want to buy their books necessarily. Not that I want to be friends with everyone I read either, but you get my point. Another big thing that will remove an author from my TBR is when I see them publicly complaining about their readers. This goes back to that power imbalance thing where like an author will be like, they just don't understand my book. Lauren Ho, who did that book that like was a memoir or whatever and was like attacking people who didn't like it, like, no, I'm out. I, as a reviewer, content creator, have to protect my space and my peace here where I can. And if that space is invaded by authors who don't respect those boundaries or understand the power imbalance they have with us and that they are much more powerful than we are, generally speaking, I don't want to read them because I don't want them to come into my space and I don't want to be getting into arguments with them on any platform. Yeah, I definitely always am on the lookout for authors who cross that boundary. We had one on TikTok that I'm still like iffy on because I can't find the video of it, so I can't make a determination right now of what I would do. And they did delete it, so I feel like they understand that they were in the wrong, but also it worries me. So I won't read Tate James because she sent her fans after someone on TikTok who was reading her book and had some fair critiques. Again, you put it in the world, we get to critique it. Every piece of art is not for everyone, and we are all allowed to have different feelings about that art. So yeah, I won't read the Madison Kate series by Tate James because of her going after reviewers, because I don't want to deal with that. So yeah, I strongly believe in protecting my peace when it comes to authors who don't respect the imbalance of power we have over here as reviewers. You know, it's happened before where an author stalked a reviewer down and then got a whole book published about it. So I'm just saying, like, there is a big power imbalance happening and I don't want to invite that into my space personally, like here where I live on my channel. Oh, another one to add into like vote with my dollars. I really wanted to read Danielle Laurie. I really did. And her Mattis Obsession series. And then I saw screenshots from around the George Floyd protests and when everything happened with that, that was absolutely awful and terrible. And she did the I Have a Black Friend. And I can't. That is an auto no for me because when you say I have a black friend, to me that indicates that you actually don't have any black friends and you don't have friends outside of your like demographic like of who you are. So I just won't buy the books and I won't read them, and that's okay. But also, you know, there's a ton of other authors out there, so it's fine. You have lots of options. And I will say there's plenty of good authors out there who aren't shitty people and don't say things that indicate to me that they have some bad beliefs on their side. And again, that's just, you know, we can't always know. We can't always know. There's plenty of authors I've read and in the past few years have come out as being terrible people or having issues. You know, I didn't know as much when I read some books that I really liked, and I don't read those authors anymore. I don't support them. And you know, I think we all can say that. I think most of us have a book or a couple books that we love or series that the author has done some questionable things. And we find out when we're adults or we're grown, and it's hard to deal with. It's not fun, but I don't wreck those books. I can still hold a special place in my heart for them, right? I feel like I do strongly believe we can love a work of fiction to an extent from a memory, like for nostalgia, while also recognizing that something that author or that happened in that book is a bad thing and problematic without also, again, using our platform to promote them. That's my biggest thing, right? You can do these things and then also not promote them on your platform. So like, I don't talk about some of my childhood favorites because they're problematic. And no, it's not She Who Shall Not Be Named. There's another one that got in trouble. But that's my point. Like, I don't talk about them really. And I also try to make sure that I am investigating what happened or what the thing was. So I do think that some books that get criticism, like, I know there was some criticism with One Last Stop, which I talked about in Romancelandia a few months ago. And I would like to read the book. I already have an arc of the book though. I have not paid for this book. I have an arc of it. So I've not spent any money on it. I am able to read it for free. Now, that is not the same thing as just pirating the book either, okay? That's a whole different conversation that we're not having. But when you can get a book from the library or you got an arc of it and you can read it to investigate critiques that happened about the book, I think that's okay. And I think that's a perfectly good thing to do, because we shouldn't just agree with something everyone says. You know, I think there's some merit to also investigating things for ourselves. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Like I said, if you go through legal means to get it. So like I said, I have an ARC of a book, or you go through the library because you want to just check it out and see what the thing was and read it for yourself. That's valid. And that's okay. And I do that occasionally. I will go find the full context for something that got pulled out of the book, like to then discuss it with, like, to myself, like think about it, digest it, potentially discuss it with my viewers, like with y'all, etc. So, oh, I also want to say another thing that does remove an author from my list is when they talk down about content warnings or trigger warnings. Specifically if they say like, this is a dark book and just know it's going to be one of the darkest, but like, no, that's not appropriate. And that is belittling to people who do need these content notes. Because, you know, sometimes I'm just not in the mental space for these books. And then I don't read them because they're like, this is the darkest book you'll ever read. And it just makes it not for me, I guess, is the best way to put it. Yeah, but that's one of the other things. All right, let's, and then I will say the one other behavior that will immediately remove authors from my list is any and all accusations of sexual assault. So I had, and harassment. I had some male fantasy authors on my TBR that I wanted to read, and I won't read them now because they had accusations of sexual harassment and assaults and things at conventions. And I'm not here for that at all. Okay, one other thing I do want to add also that is a blatant come off my TBR is plagiarism. If I find out that a book was plagiarized, which we had happen earlier this year with Someone You Love by Kristen Granada. So she plagiarized Kristen Callahan. Plagiarism for me is an immediate off my TBR thing because I think that's just beyond shady behavior. But yeah, that's how I decide. I generally speaking have a big list. I have a whole list on Goodreads called Just Say No of authors that I will not read. It's got 65 books on it. And it's just a way for me to track like authors I'm not interested in reading. And yeah, I think it's a very personal decision to make, obviously, but I think it's something good to contemplate occasionally and like kind of figure out where you stand on who you will and won't read at the end of the day. So if you enjoyed this, leave me or let me know an author you don't like to read or that you love to read. Take your pick, just clarify which one you're leaving. And let me know if you want me to do a will you, won't you reading thing with this where I like have you all send me authors and then I'll tell you if I'll read them or not. And on that note, you can leave me a camera emoji. We'll do that. We'll do a camera emoji today. And I'll have no links. I will have links to be my friend down there in that description box. And I will talk to you in a few days. Bye.
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be. Life with no distractions, we'll get away.